So, my name is Adria Estrabu, and I am a conscious channel of some beautiful beings here to help humankind. Most often, angels Raphael and Ariel, and they have channeled information about our galactic DNA. Woo! It was, I have a lot to say about that. I'll probably start with that first. But I want to show the book cover. This is part 2 in the New Earth series, and it's called Activate Your Galactic 12-Strand DNA. And oh my goodness. So I did take some notes. I think I'm just going to be speaking as me today, but I did take some notes of things I wanted to share a little behind the scenes today, because some people have been asking me, well, what's it like to channel, and can you put some information about that in the book? And I did put a little bit in the preface, but I thought it's kind of easier to talk about in person. So I've been channeling publicly for about 9 years, a little bit before that, testing it out and seeing what it was all about and getting feedback from clients and friends before going to expos, speaking in groups, doing one-on-one client sessions as a channel. And that's evolved into now weekly group live transmissions from the angels. Sometimes they're meditations, sometimes they're activations, sometimes they're more lecture style, although I personally still feel a lot of energy. It's not just words. Because I'm a conscious channel, I'm present to it, so I hear it at the same time you do, essentially. And also I feel the energy of the angelic, which is now quite familiar, and I love their frequency. More than a few hours a day is a little too much for my body, so when I was putting this book together, for the first time ever, the angels put a little time pressure on me. They said, you have to get this book out in September. And they only finished channeling the transmissions in August, the end of August. And I had started working on it, but basically I had a month to get the book out. And they've really never asked me for anything before, and I do trust them quite a lot now, because things they tell me or advise or suggest, they don't make things up. So I've come to get a really high level of trust. So that said, they were really pushing me to get the book out, so I was doing maybe 10 hours of listening to their transmissions and transcribing, checking the transcripts. And the words for me also have a high buzz. So I went into what I called overbuzz. Thankfully, I didn't have to drive, and I have a lovely partner who was bringing me food and things like that, practical things, and got outside as much as I could for grounding. But from my experience as a channel, it's pretty fun to be a conscious channel, because I get to hear it at the same time you do, and I get the energetics of that, the angels being close enough in my field, if that's how it works, for the channeled information to come through. So because it's real time for me also, I don't know what they're going to talk about in events. Because we're in a world of schedules and event planning, I usually ask them, can you give me a sentence or a phrase for the calendar or the month ahead, so people know whether they want to tune in. So they'll give me themes. And I had no idea that information about DNA or galactic DNA was going to start coming through me. I had no clue. They didn't give me any heads up about this. I didn't come in the last 10 years knowing this is part of my mission on Earth to share this information. Nothing. I did have this context of New Earth and evolving humanity, which is happening at a cellular level through this raising frequency. So I had that context, and some of that's in the first book. But the whole topic of galactic DNA was completely new for me. So, wow. So I note in the preface, but I still think it's kind of funny. The first theme that they had given me for what became the first chapter in this book is interdimensional wish field. So I certainly did not guess from that. I don't know if you would have, that they would be rolling out, dropping this bomb, essentially information bomb. And by the way, 12 distinct galactic types of beings make up your DNA, but most of it has been dormant, and now it's time for it to activate. And this is available to everyone on Earth. However, you don't have to, you can opt out. So that was the first big surprise, was just that this book was coming at all. After the first few weeks, I did recognize, oh, I think this is a book. Because usually they would stay on a theme for maybe a few weeks, not for months like this. This was 6 months straight, so every week, plus some more information in my private member group and sometimes in the Angel QA, which is a drop-in. Somehow this information just rolled out steadily for 6 months straight, and then it was done. It was time to get the book out, in the next month. So if you got one of the first copies, there may be a few typos. We're working on correcting that. But it's pretty good. I was pretty pleased. There wasn't a lot to fix, but it was a rush job on purpose, and that push came from the angelic. So why the push? If you tuned into Angel Update yesterday, or maybe others are saying this, I'm not sure. From the angelic perspective, it feels pretty timely, imminent, that a mass awakening is going to happen. And this has been building for some time. Many of us has been tuned into this and feeling this, that it's a cellular transformation. It's happening from the sun and other high frequencies that are allowing us to naturally know it's time to activate something in us. So although the book is called Activate Your Galactic 12-Strand DNA, I'll hold up the cover again. This is my marketing. Mostly I'm just having fun sharing behind-the-scenes stuff today, but this is the book. Available wherever books are sold. And ebook and paperback back. Okay, so I have to get back to what I was talking about. So you don't need the book, even though it's called Activate Your Galactic 12-Strand DNA, in order to activate it. Now, some of you will buy the book, listen to the activation meditations. There's some audio along with it. And the words themselves, in my understanding, my feeling of it, are activating. That helps smooth the way. It can help move things along if you're anxious to get started before the mass awakening. And some of you have probably had DNA activations from other practitioners. I know I see those webinars pop up occasionally about the DNA, so I'm obviously not the only one offering this information or this activation. Also, it's available to everyone, which means it's available to you without doing anything except your intent for it to wake up. One of the things I find really helpful in this information is the context, the what's happening here. So I started to wake up to this in myself before the information started channeling through with the angels. This often happens for me, where I start to have a personal direct experience and I don't know what's going on. And then the angels in a group setting will start to talk about what's going on. And then I have the context, which I find really helpful. Because even with so many years of meditation, so many years of channeling, being an intuitive guide for others, I found it frightening to go through this. It's more fun now, but it's still quite odd some days. And I wanted to read a passage from the book about this. So this will be from the angelic perspective. So this is from Angel Raphael. I had to check because Ariel is in the book as well, not as often. So big picture here, if you're not yet aware, we're moving from when the mind is in charge to the heart, the very heart-centered way of creating what you want in the world. And the galactic activations happening in us aren't any different. It's happening through the hub of the heart. And because of that, the more we can focus on the heart instead of what the brain thinks is going on, the easier this will be for us. And so I want to read a couple pages here about that. This is about the heart. I'm jumping in mid-chapter. That is the container through which you travel, a container which you bring back memory and shared expression, a container through which you share into the quantum your own experience of life. Without meaning to, without writing a book or sharing a blog necessarily, you're sharing your lived world with others through this electromagnetic pulse into the universe. This is also where you travel through and how open and widen your sense of expression, how you open and widen your sense of expression. Because it's coming largely, not exclusively, but largely through the toroidal field of the heart, you don't have that conflict that would happen if all of this was happening through the mind, the brain space. If all of this was happening through the mind, you're going to try to choose a primary identity of the 12, and you're going to try to make sense of the incongruities between the different ways of perceiving. But it's happening through the heart. It's a little bit like a field of a meadow of wildflowers. You don't try to make the yellow ones like the red or the purple ones that are tall like the white ones that are small. You have the capacity to see them all. You might have favorites, but there's no sense of, if I don't make all these flowers look the same, then I'm losing my mind. If all of this travel and new sensory expression was happening through the mind primarily, as third dimension was, you would guess this sense of psychotic break, most likely. That's the most frequent outcome when you try to do too much through the lens of the mind. Because the mind wants things to be categorically the same, to be safe based on past expression, and predictable. The heart is a little more like a river. If it encounters a rock, it might take time to shape that rock, but it will. It will get its way. And if it encounters a rock and right now has somewhere to go, it just goes around. The mind would encounter a rock and think, I'm stuck here. And it might stay there staring at the rock for 20 years. You've all had something like that in your life. But it doesn't occur to the mind, I could go around, or just choose another path, do something different. Water, which is much closer to your true nature now, more of a fifth dimensional hub nature that's experiencing 12, knows how to evaporate, rain down again, be a slow meandering stream, be a rushing river, be a tremendous ocean which is churning up earth and creating new island vistas, different landscapes through the force of its own nature. Of course, in this analogy, there are other things at play, the wind and the sun and so on. But to be clear here, you're just much more fluid. You're not so fixed as you imagine. So that's just a snippet, part of a chapter. So to give an overview what's in the book, there are activations and clearings of the DNA. There's also a lot of context about what does this mean then as a human waking up to your more full new human galactic self, and how can you navigate this with some ease and playfulness. The angels through me I find are very practical and very playful, so they will drop this information, which to me is just quite a bombshell, and I'm still getting used to it, particularly what the 12 galactic strains are. I'm still getting used to that. I haven't heard other people talk about that, so it's a lot. It's a lot to process and take in, but again, that's the mind. That the energy helps you to redirect toward the heart and to recognize what's going on, because it's huge. It's massive to go from Homo sapiens, which we grew up as, to something else, new human, and other people are starting to name that, which is quite fun. Homo luminous is my favorite of the names that have been given. The angels say, oh, new human, we'll let others name it. So while we're alive in this life, we have this opportunity to become new human and to open up to the full potential of all of these 12 galactic types of beings. So instead of, let's say, your mother and father, biological mother and father in this life, whether or not you knew them, the shape of your nose and how you see color, and maybe whether or not you like music and some food preferences come in through your genetics of these two humans, right? Your mom and dad. Here, instead of having that lineage of particular historical lineage, we have access to the purity of the collective DNA. So I think I'll set aside what that means. That's a whole other topic, and I can see there's going to be more stops on the virtual book tour. Actually, the next one's going to be November 11th, around the same time of day. I'm sorry, November 7th. And I'll put that link in the comments. Because I thought it would be fun to just talk about some of this, give context to my perspective of what it's like to digest and synthesize and live this information. And if there are questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and I'll see if I can answer any of those. And meanwhile, I'll check my list of what I wanted to talk about today. I feel like that's a lot. I'm not seeing any questions, so gosh, if you don't hear this live, add questions later, and I might start the next virtual book tour with that. Or if it's a question for the angels and not for me, they might answer in the Ask an Angel feature of this YouTube channel. And I also have monthly angel QA where you can, sliding scale, and you can drop by and ask your questions of the angels on Zoom if you want to be more private about it. Wow, welcome. Thank you for tuning in, and subscribe, like this video. All those things are helpful to share the message. But mostly, thank you for receiving the light, the information, the love, the context of the activations. And I wish you so much joy in this exploration of the new world.